Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. I'm Anna and this is my world. And today's video is going to be another true crime video. It's been a hot minute since I've done one, but I know you guys love my true crime videos and I love them as well. I love making them, so I'm back with another one, and one of the most interesting ones to me to research, and that is the Zodiac killer. So that's what this video is over today. So if you are interested in learning one of the biggest, most popular true crime murder mystery situations around here in American history, then keep on watching today's video. I'm so dumb. Okay guys, I had to sit back and get a little bit more comfortable here for this. So the Zodiac killer. You may be asking, why is this guy called the Zodiac killer? Well, I'll tell you. So basically, the Zodiac killer is definitely one of the most popular true crime murder mystery cases in US history. It is still unsolved today, and so much shady stuff happened with this whole entire situation that it gripes me to this day. Like, every time I think about it, I'm like, how can someone be so dumb? Because, like, one of the things that I have to tell you guys that has to do with this case, I'm sure you guys will just shake your head and be like, really? Because it's just dumb. But I'll tell you when we get there. But anyway, the Zodiac killer. These sets of killings happened in California, in Vallejo, California, around the San Francisco area, Napa County, and places of that sort, all in California. And these happened over a couple of years, from like 1968 to the very early 70s. And it was a very, very kind of rare thing for that time period. Because, I mean, let's just be real. Back in the day, everything was just so much more simpler. Everyone was so much more nice. There was less crime. You could go out by, like, women, it wasn't as bad for women to go out by themselves, or children to go out without, you know, parent supervision. Everyone was always more friendly, and I know a lot of people pretty much didn't even, you know, lock their doors. It was just like a lot more of a friendly atmosphere back in the day. A lot different than it is now. So for this to happen was crazy for back then. So anyway, you may be thinking, well, what's the Zodiac killer's real name? We don't know. He has never ever been caught, and it's crazy, like I said, how everything went with him, because he was so sly. He knew what he was doing, and there's been so many different, you know, scenarios in his time of murdering where he could have been caught, but due to dumb mistakes, and also technology not being as good as it is today, and also him just being a really smart killer, it just never happened. So anyway, starting with his killings, back in the day, the very first one started with two teenagers, David Arthur Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. These were 16 and 17-year-old kids, and back in the day, if you weren't aware, one of the most popular things to do on a date was they would drive their adorable little vintage cars. They're vintage now and so cute. Anyway, I'm a sucker for a good vintage car. But anyway, they would drive their car and park and, like, make out and stuff. That's just like what they did. If you watch a lot of old shows, you would hear them talk about, like, make out point, or, like, you know, places that you would just go park your car and, like, make out, like the drive-in movie, but, you know, just other places. So that was just the popular thing to do. So these two kids were out, they were parked in their car at some random location. They were the two first victims of the Zodiac killer. So basically what happened was, they were parked, the Zodiac killer, he came by, he was there, he left, came back about 10 minutes later, parked right next to their car, walked up and shot them in the head. The girl died right away. The male lived for a little while until the paramedics and such got there, and then he did pass away. But one interesting thing to kind of note with the Zodiac killer is he just killed for fun. He didn't even torture or, you know, do anything inappropriate. I don't know exactly how I can word things because it is YouTube and I could get flagged, but first of all, didn't do anything inappropriate to them, and didn't, like, do anything that would be extra or torturing. He just pretty much shot them point blank, at least at first. And so anyway, like I said, he did shoot them, and that was the first killings of the Zodiac killer. So the next killings was of, and I don't know how to pronounce his name right, probably, of Michael Renault Magot. I don't know if that was right, but I'm reading it on my phone because I probably I'm totally butchering their names. He was 19, and Darlene Elizabeth Farron of 22, and they were actually shot on the 4th of July at a park in Vallejo, California. In this situation, the female died once again, the male actually lived. It's really weird. There's a couple of scenarios with his killings where the female like literally automatically died and the male survived. But anyway, they were also shot. So this is the second occurrence that happened. So the next one that I definitely want to mention was, this time it was not by gun. This was this couple who went out and had a picnic, and the Zodiac killer showed up. It was really interesting because he was kind of wearing like a mask, like an executioner style outfit, and you could actually barely see through the mask, and the male actually survived in this case as well. But these two in particular victims were stabbed, and what happened was they were at this park. The Zodiac killer tied them up, and he had the knife, and like the guy, he said in an interview like, I knew I was going to die, and he told the Zodiac killer like, if you're gonna kill us, please kill me first because I can't see you kill my girlfriend, you know? And so the Zodiac killer was like, okay, and proceeded to stab him 8 times. But he lived. Then he stabbed the female. The female did die. But the male was able to stay cautious enough to get untied and like kind of freeing himself from the situation until the police and ambulance got there. It did take a while for them to get there, around 35 minutes, I guess, because of the location. They were probably pretty far out. But basically, in an interview, he did state that like he tried to have a plan to keep himself alive. He basically said he was focusing on getting free and, you know, getting out of the situation and getting help. And he thinks by doing that, that's what actually kept him alive. Instead of just sitting there and kind of giving up, he made a plan to stay alive, and he did. But an important thing to note is he was able to see through the mask a little bit enough to notice some curly hair. And a couple of the victims that did survive, they did note that he was a really tall man. And a couple of different ones noted between a couple of different heights, anywhere from 5'8" to 6'2". So this was a bigger man, and he was anywhere from around 186 to 200 something pounds. That is the kind of frame of weight that was giving off by some of the victims. And so, you know, it was a little bit to work with, along with the hair color. And so yeah, that's kind of the description of him that we have gotten so far. So to back up a little bit, after the killings on July the 4th, on July the 5th of 1969 at 12:40 a.m. in the morning, a man actually called in to the police department there in Vallejo, California, and claimed to be the shooter, all just completely responsible for that attack. And the police were definitely very interested in this, and from that point on, the Zodiac killer decided to pretty much come out to the police and to play with everyone's minds, honestly. He did claim to be responsible, and he honestly from then on would write letters to the police. And this is where it comes to figuring out why he was called the Zodiac killer. So you may be asking why. So what he did was he actually wrote letters in secret code, and he had this symbol, I'll put it up right here, on all of his letters, and he had secret encryptions written out for people to solve. He did write in one letter, if you can solve this, then you'll find me. And that never ended up being true, but he was writing a lot of secret messages and basically said in the letters that he liked killing just for fun, and he was definitely deranged in the head, which honestly all killers have to be messed up, because why would you kill? But basically he said that he just liked to collect souls so that in the afterlife he would become a king, and all the souls that he collected would be his slaves, and that is why he killed, and he just couldn't be stopped. And then so of course he wrote letters in, and the police tried so hard to get fingerprints off, but there was just no way that they could. One interesting thing to note was that although you have fingerprints, you can also have a palm print, and they were able to get like one off, but it didn't show anything, so that was really sucky. But at one point the Zodiac killer did write in, and he was like, put my story, the letters I write, in the newspaper or I will kill again. So they did. Like, the people were like, I'm not gonna mess around with this. If he says that, you know, he's gonna kill again, like, do what he says. put his letter in the newspaper. So that got attention from the public, and an old couple kind of sat down one day and they actually deciphered his code and figured it out. I will read to you what it said. So it actually wrote, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all to kill. Something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part of it is that when I die, I will be reborn in paradise. And the people I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down." Okay, there's some misspelling up in here. I guess it says slow down my plot of me collecting my slaves of the afterlife, and then something. But anyway, that was what he wrote. The rest of it I can't make out, but that's what he wrote, which is again what I mentioned. And it was so interesting when I read it, and it said that people are the most dangerous game. And whenever I read that, an alarm went off in my head, because there was this one story we had to read in high school called The Most Dangerous Game, and that is where there is this like brilliant professor who moved to a faraway island to hunt people. The whole entire story was on how he didn't like hunting animals anymore because it was just boring. It wasn't thrilling enough. So what he would do was collect slaves and different people and let them go on the island and hunt them. And this guy had sailed, his ship had wrecked, he had went on the island, and the man, you know, got him, and he did survive, but he was in this most dangerous game. And I believe the man's name was Count Zaroff or something. But that was the book, and it is really interesting because I'm pretty sure that that is honestly referring back to that book. I was actually watching a documentary on this, and they talked about The Most Dangerous Game, and I was like, that's literally what I thought of. And so it's really crazy, but I think that's where he was getting that from, because that is a classic story from back in the day. So I just found that to be really interesting. But anyway, I want to move on to the part now that I find the most annoying, that ticks me off, to where he could have been caught, but by just being dumb, don't know how you could be this dumb, he wasn't caught. So let me just kind of tell you the most dumbest thing ever. So whenever he was doing his killings, at one point in time, there was a cab driver who was killed. So the police were alerted. I mean, they knew like that it was probably him. And so someone called in reporting seeing a man with curly hair with glasses who was really tall and around that weight. And so the police were like, okay, let's go to the crime scene and see what happens, right? So they go to the crime scene, and there is this man there that literally fits his appearance to the T. They stop him and are like, so have you seen a man that looks like blah 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 blah? And the man said, yeah, I literally just saw him running with a knife that way. And the police were like, thanks, and left. I don't know how they could have been that dumb, but they literally let the Zodiac killer slip from their hands right there. Most everyone knows and believes that the man that they just let go was the Zodiac killer, and that is because not only did he fit that description, he was at the crime scene, but the Zodiac killer wrote in the next day. He basically was saying that the police let me slip away. Y'all had me and you let me go. And he was saying how, you know, like I was at the crime scene and then I walked down to the park and disappeared. Like they could have had him. I don't know why they let him go. I don't know what was in their head to make them think, okay, although this guy literally fits the description, is at the crime scene, this ain't him. Like, what? You know? But ever since then, you know, there was nothing else that even made them really close to being able to find the Zodiac killer. There were some people, you know, throughout the years that they thought could have been him, but everything just didn't match up. And recently, they actually did reopen the Zodiac file to searching to know if they could find this man again. But honestly, it's 2020, he's probably dead by now. Because if he was an adult in the 60s, like the late 60s, he's either really, really old, probably in his 80s, And so it's really iffy if he could be alive or not. I think it would be awesome. It would be good if he was, and then, you know, we could catch him and he could get some type of reprimand from what he did, but I just don't know. I don't ever see him being caught, and if he does, it could be too late, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, you know, that is the gist of the Zodiac killer. We don't know who he is. The police let him get away. He killed for fun, and he literally was throwing himself out there to be caught. He literally said, "Don't worry," to the police, like, "if you can crack my code, you'll have me, so don't feel down." But they never got to catch him. He was just smart as to get away. They tried payphones, different things that he had touched, because they actually tracked the payphone down that, you know, he called them in on, but there was no fingerprints, and so he got away. He left these crazy messages to be deciphered. Always had the Zodiac sign, or I don't even know why it was called. I mean, it's not a Zodiac sign. It was just, I don't know. But anyway, that's why he was called the Zodiac Killer. And it was said that he had in all murdered 37 victims, which is one of the highest in record of killings from a serial killer. I believe that I heard that John Wayne Gacy was the top with, I think, like 34 killings. So if that 37 was right or not, we don't really know. And over the years, like I said, there were more and more letters, but I do believe, like, could they have been other random people who were just crazy in the head wanting to trick the police and write in? But I don't know, because, you know, there's so many findings that say that the letters that were sent in by the Zodiac Killer had only information that he would know, very, very specific details. And so I don't know, it could go so many ways. But in all, do I think that maybe one or two letters here or there could have been faked by somebody? Maybe so. But I do think for the majority that all the letters were from him. I mean, it had the specific, you know, codes to be deciphered. Even when that one couple did decipher that one, did they find him? Did he say his name? No. But I do know that there was another specific one that was supposed to have his name, but no one was able to decipher it. He was smart enough to not have fingerprints, and so I don't know. And the one chance that they could have gotten, the police just let it slip. So it's very unfortunate. It's sad. So interesting to learn about. I went to a crime museum recently, last March. It's almost been a year now, which is just crazy. But I got to see so much paraphernalia from actual serial killers there. It was very interesting. Some was from the Zodiac Killer. Some of his letters were in that museum, which was so fascinating to see. But it's just a really sad occurrence, and I hope one day they find out at least who it is, even if he is dead, because it would be good to know. But you never know. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this true crime video. I love making true crime videos, and I know you guys love to watch them. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know down below what other true crime videos you would like to see. I've done a couple so far over Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Richard Ramirez, and I'm so willing to do a lot more. So let me know down below who you would like to see next, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. It would mean so much to me to have your support. You can do that by hitting my face right up there, and you can watch another one of my videos by clicking over there. Like I said, it would mean the world to me, and I hope you guys have an amazing day or night or whenever you may be watching this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.